Every minute.
Oh, one of the more difficult things is really having growing our own food too. Considering even the plants are half the time GMO and organic.
That is true. That is true. Well, Mr. Smiley and a lot of other people are making all this noise about a Southeast grocery store. And are you going to go if there's a Whole Food or all those type of grocery stores there?
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. We got a problem. We'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But are we going to support it and do it? I know. I'm telling you, you know that. Because you deal with all that all the time. Because my people.
I gotta watch my facial expressions. I'm very animated, but yeah.
No. But you know what I'm saying.
I do.
There's a thing from Peyton having his church just came out. Gonna talk about what happened to the store in the Southeast. I said, look, let's get together, throw some money, and you can get a store. Don't complain about it.
Right.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Right.
I have tried with some things, and I didn't get to first base. Okay. I'm not gonna buy it.
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I'm good.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Dorch, it's, everybody, whether they melanated or not, make their own decisions.
That's true.
you know.
That's true.
So we have those who can see and hear, let them hear and see. If not,
yeah,
we don't throw our pearls to swine.
Oh, I wish I had a pen.
All right, good morning. I want to welcome you all to our first diversity dialogue post-pandemic. It feels good to be back. My name is Emma Walker. I serve as the Sexual Violence Coordinator for the YWCA of Northeast Indiana. And today, my role is just to help facilitate this discussion. So our discussion today is focused on Black Future Month, a discussion on racial equity, specifically in Fort Wayne. So we do have a few guidelines that we always like to go over to help facilitate the discussion, keep a safe, open dialogue going. So to go over these really quickly, we do ask that you come to the table humbly in the name of learning. We ask that you are open to new ideas. We ask that you give everyone a chance to speak. One person talks, everyone listens. We ask that you attack the problem and not the person, and respect the confidentiality of the personal views and stories shared during this experience. So I'll go ahead and introduce our panelists today. So first we have Sheila Curry Campbell. She is a native of Fort Wayne and very active in the community, serving as the first District Allen County Councilwoman with the responsibility for establishing an annual budget for county government. Sheila is also responsible for appropriating funds for the operation of county government. Sheila is the past president of the Allen County NAACP Branch 3049, where she currently serves as treasurer. Sheila is a longtime member of the Pilgrim Baptist Church for over 50 years, currently under the leadership of Raymond C. Dix Jr., where she has served as program director, PBC Green Team, Leadership Team, Scholarship Committee, Library Committee, VBS Committee, and Youth Advisor Students Against Violence Everywhere, also known as Save Fort Wayne. Sheila has received many awards at the local, regional, and national level. Sheila has served on many boards and planning committees over the years, being the only Black person in the room. She is a busy lady. Sheila, do you have anything you'd like to add to your introduction?
No, I'm a little embarrassed to hear it. Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have John Dorch. He has been employed at Parkview for 31 years. He received 5 promotions in that time within the last 15 years of his employment, serving as the Corporate Vice President of Employee Relations. In 2004, John left to start the Preston Joan Group Incorporated. John is also President, CEO of Fort Wayne Ink Spot LLC, and President and majority owner of the Penta CS Group LLC, which is a minority entrepreneurial center with 8 tenants. John Dortch has authored multiple publications, including 2 books. A 3rd book is being released this month, so be on the lookout. John has served the Fort Wayne community faithfully over 30 years through various nonprofits and boards, including being the founder of the Fort Wayne Black Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, John. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, thanks.
And lastly, we have Adrian Curry. Adrian Curry is the founder and CEO of the Art Leadership Center, also known as the ALC, a multifaceted arts organization centered around a percussion theater and an elite education system. The ALC has a strong focus on the development of Renaissance leaders through service, science, law, and art, with a purpose to align, build, and crystallize the community body. Mr. Curry is the director of the percussion theater, instructor of the steppers and dancers, and life coach to the student leaders and peer-led instructors. He has taught through various organizations such as Fort Wayne Parks and Recreation, Fort Wayne Community Schools, the Sparks Foundation, the Brandon Foundation, the Thurgood Marshall Leadership Academy. He has donated his services throughout this community for over 16 years. Mr. Curry continues to serve, educate, and inspire, bringing about a clean, unified, local, and global environment. Welcome, Adrian. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Y'all have very impressive histories, and we are thrilled that you could be here with us today. So I do have a few announcements about some upcoming events, and then we will dive into our discussion. March 8th is International Women's Day. The YWCA is doing a social media initiative, posting people with their arms crossed in front of them to designate breaking the bias. We invite you all to join in this effort by sending a picture to the listed contact on there by February 28th if you'd like to be included. Then in April, the YWCA is hosting a Race Against Racism 5K walker run, whichever you prefer. I will be a walker. YWCA Northeast Indiana will be participating in this. It happens at 10 a.m. at Purdue Fort Wayne. And just pay attention to our upcoming social media. There will be some registration information coming out about that. And then this month also, Allen County Public Library has launched a website that is preserving significant African American history of Fort Wayne and beyond. The site's collection has several information sections, such as Fort Wayne's first Black first fraternal organization, publications, etc., where the history of one of Fort Wayne's largest ethnic communities is being saved to educate and inspire those who read it, and to record Fort Wayne, Allen County African American progress, advancement, achievement, and accomplishments for present and future posterity. So if you're looking for more ways to be involved this month, I definitely would recommend checking out the website. So lastly, this has been put together by our Level Up Council, which functions within the YWCA. The Level Up Council believes that our community can truly prosper when each member is accepted, supported, and valued. YWCA Northeast Indiana is taking deliberate action to educate, empower, and unite people through programs designed to create inclusion and build racial equity. Our vision is to help our region become the equitable place we know it can be. It's time to level up Northeast Indiana. And that is who put together this event for us today. So thank you to the Level Up Council. Okay, and with that, we will dive into our questions for today. So our first question, we do have a few prepared questions that we're going to go through. And then at the end of this, we will have time for both of you here in the audience and watching the live stream at home to ask questions if you would like. So our first question for the three of you, what does your current organization do to promote racial justice and equity in our region? And whoever wants to hop in first is more than welcome.
Go ahead, John.
Well, one, I have a consulting company, be 18 years old in May. I left Parkview in 2004, started this company. and I go to a lot of the outlying areas within the state. I have a client in Bluffton. I got that client 10 years ago, and everybody's all white. Today, I can honestly say that we had several blacks that's working there at the place. I think I helped to make a difference through education, understanding, and most certainly reaching out various people. We had the newspaper Frost Illustrated that was here for 50 years. It went out of operation. I didn't know a darn thing about newspaper, but I researched it and decided to start Ink Spot. If you're not familiar with it, I think there's some in the back. Fort Wayne Ink Spot area of the week. And a high percentage of subscribers to Ink Spot are Caucasian, and I'm very, very happy about that. We now have a director of marketing who is my daughter, who does it part-time. She's a pharmacist, but she's out reaching people. And the whole purpose of Ink Spot is to get the message out there about us in positive things. There are a lot of us that are doing some positive things here in the community in terms of promotions and jobs and all of those. And a lot of people are getting back telling me that they are very happy, Caucasians, happy about the levels of information we're putting in Ink Spot. And the one that just came out Friday of last week, and since this is Black History Month, we have a page called Blackout, a listing of all the businesses, and the next week, another one will be out. That will be a continuation of that, trying to get that message out that, you know, on the front page of the Journal or inside the Journal Gazette, you're not seeing us in handcuffs and those kinds of things. So my goal and intention was that. One other thing, I do own the building on Calhoun Street. The Penta CS Group is a minority entrepreneur center. Have 9 people in there with offices, but just recently was able to get First Source Bank to have a loan production office in there. And the purpose of that, again, is for those to get people to move away from the buy here, pay here, but they can get loans through First Source Bank at no money's exchanged, but they will meet with a loan officer and get a cheaper rate by doing that. I also have a barber in there. I got that idea when I was traveling with the mayor for having to see that in a shopping center. So I have a prominent barber in there that goes by appointments only, whether you're black, white, or whatever. But again, the education, the information, exchange of ideas, all in one location is very, very good. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you.
Sheila.
Okay.
Well, once again, I am Adrian Curry. You'll hear people call me Mr. Curry. That's what my students call me, and it's kind of like my stage name, if you will. I am the founder of the Art Leadership Center, and within our principles of management, you can more or less see what we do for racial justice and equity, okay? The purpose of the Art Leadership Center is to align, build, and crystallize the community body. I'm going to go through each one of them, and you'll begin to understand what I mean by promoting racial justice and equity, okay? Now, our philosophy is, I am because we are, a house divided will fall. And we like to say, welcome to the house. You see, it's the idea of building the house of the Most High, okay? Now, and we want to build it upon the rock, a strong foundation, okay? Now, when we get into our mission, the Art Leadership Center is designed to systematically develop Renaissance scholars and artists with a global conscience that embody 5 wells of leadership: well-read, well-spoken, well-dressed, well-traveled, and well-balanced. Now, when it comes to that, it's the idea of developing a Renaissance leader. In other words, developing children, students from a small age, a young age, that are going to go out into the community to revive it, to create a resurgence, a rebirth, right? And if something needs a rebirth, that means that something is obviously dead, right? And when we get into our vision, the vision of the Art Leadership Center is to duplicate these peer-led instructors and AOC certified instructors while developing an elite education system alongside a global percussion theater. So in other words, through this elite education system, we are systematically developing the Renaissance leader, okay? And when I say systematically, I do mean scientifically, okay? And I'll give you an example, all right? In psychology, to develop a human being, and we know when we deal with the psyche, we're dealing with the spirit, okay? Now, when we start in our development, we are at the male level, okay, or the female level, which is why it can be an insult to call a woman a female or a man a male. Because at the male level, you want your biological needs met, and you may cry for those biological needs to be met. I'm hungry, wham. I'm sleepy, wham, right? I'm thirsty, wham, right? Now, when you progress into the boy stage, you begin to gameplay. You know your biological needs are going to be met, but you begin to gameplay for those things, right? You know you're going to eat, but you're going to have an attitude, right? Because you're hungry right now. Now, when you progress into the male or into the man stage, if you will, I'm just using the masculine side here. When you progress into the man stage, you now see a problem and you seek to find a solution. Now, we know that the neurons or the nerves of the human body reach the neuromuscular juncture by the time you're 12 years old, therefore, and you can reproduce by the time you're 12, therefore you are considered man, okay? Not by society, but by clearly the Most High. Therefore, you should have the understanding necessary to teach someone younger than you already, or if you had a child, you could teach them. So they should be prepared, okay? Now, when you enter the stage of a gentleman, all right? Now, these are 7 steps. Now you are dealing with not only working in your particular field to figure out that solution to that problem, but now you're learning to court. Now you're learning how to date, if you will. And you're learning that the being that you're going to become one with is in stride with you as you focus on that particular problem that you need to solve. All right? And now after you become a gentleman, now you can come together with that human and become a father. All right? And now you're laying the foundation for the next generation. It's not about you anymore. You're getting ready to pass it on. And so as you pass it on, you now can sit on your throne as king and reap the fruits of all that you've built. And then you pass on, and we say, you know, you go into the spiritual world, or you say we crystallize, or you become Christ-like, if you will. You crystallize, and you do it all over again. Well, that's the same way we build a tree. The roots to the shoot, to the branches, to the flower, to the pollination, to the fruit, to the seed. And we do it all over again. Sunday through Friday, and then Saturday you rest, then we do it all over again. This is how life is set up. And so, in other words, we build a body, right? And I'll say this to end this point as we work towards racial justice and equity. The idea is that there's order in the world, and clearly there's disorder. So on the atomic level, there's order. On the molecular levels, there's order, all the way to the cosmos. And so we build a body. And so we want to understand things on every single level to understand the proper order of things. And so the Renaissance leader sets off to do what? Put those things in order. There's no such thing as race. That's a construct. It's fairly new. Matter of fact, 14th century, 15th century new. We were tribes and nations. So there's no such thing as racial justice, as much as we're not acknowledging the truth about who individuals are. And that's what we need to do. And then the order will naturally get in place. And so equity is simply functioning. There's no such thing as being equal. The nervous system does what the nervous system does. The cardiovascular system does what the cardiovascular system does. And when you eat food, there's a particular amount of resources from that food that goes to particular organ systems. And the nervous system has to get the bulk of it because it's the core. So I think there's just an argument over who's the root and who's the core. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to go at it?
I don't think I can follow that. Thank you so much, Adrian. And no, Adrian is not my son. He's my play son, but he is awesome. Thank you, Adrian, for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move forward.
Excuse me a minute.
Yes.
I forgot to mention one thing with my paper. I give out over 400 papers a month. The jail gets 80. They get 40 every other week free. I personally deliver those. The reason I give the papers these, majority of the occupants look like me. 2, some are there through no fault of their own. 3, you read about it in the paper, but they put a paper in the cubbyhole of these gentlemen, and they have a chance to read it. I'm getting letters from them once they get out, how they want to change their lives because what they read in the paper. So the jail, the juvenile center get the same thing. The 2 women's shelters here in town, I personally deliver it to them, and the rescue mission. We got to make a difference. But the deputy sheriff, who's Caucasian, wrote me a letter and said that it's the most positive information in the paper. He's learning something. So we have to get information in the hands of people. That's how we promote racial justice in all of that. We got to make sure we get it out there. We could be marketers, and I elected to do that, and I pay for those papers, and I've been doing it ever since I started the paper 3 years ago. So that's important, and I forgot to mention that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for making that point. I know the YWCA is lucky enough to be receiving your papers, and I always enjoy when they arrive at the office. I try to take some time to read them. So our next couple of questions are kind of going to move through the past, the present, and the future. So the next question I'd like to pose is, what are some important aspects of our local history that you would like to highlight?
Wow, sure, I'll jump in on that. Once again, my name is Sheila Curry Campbell. I serve as 1st District County Council, and just happy to be here today. Thank you so much for the invite. I received an award from you folks, Diversity, Equity, probably 10 years ago. So just happy to be here. I really think that we're all here because we care. We're all here because we want to make a difference. One of the problems or barriers, I would say, everybody don't think like you. A lot of this struggle, it has to be done by our allies. We as co-conspirators, I mean, we have to set the agenda, depend on our allies to carry out that agenda. So when we start talking about equity, what is equity? And I think a lot of people have a different way of describing that. You'll run into a lot of companies that say, yes, we have diversity and inclusion, but how do you prove your work? And so those are some of the things that I'm looking at. I'm sure you're all aware I'm not running for office again, and so some of the things that I'm looking at doing are more hands-on and making a difference. I see a young lady with her hand up. I think she wants to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something because I've seen you guys in the community a lot, and like as a young adult, like starting off as like a professional or a very young entrepreneur, I just wanted to just say on equity. Sorry. I just wanted to voice my opinion. Me and a friend was talking about this the other day, because as young people, you know, we do like to, you know, do a lot of social things and partying. Like how, you know, this probably be particular for Adrian because he's the only young person or the young lady speaking. But how do you like, you know, how do you do your balance? How do you separate? I know people say equity, but, you know, me and my friend, we just came to a conclusion that you actually cannot be equal in a professional and your social life. And you do have to make a separation because it will cause problems. Me and my friend, we were discussing this the other day because we've actually came to a very big mountain of issues because a lot of people, you know, they're like, Sheree, why aren't you inviting us to this? Why aren't you inviting us to that? So, you know, I just went ahead and, you know, allowed everybody to be equal, and I think a lot of people others did, and it created a whole mess. And a lot of people are not happy about it.
I guess this would be a question for an older person too. Like, how would you deal with something like that? Because it's not that you're trying to treat someone different. It's just that some people need to develop on their own and their own timing and where they're at the time being. Because, you know, it's like you want to be equal to everybody, but it's like, you know, it's a time and place for everything. And it's like you cannot bring everybody with you everywhere that you go.
I'm an old lady, and I want to answer you because there's a story behind this, for real. I'm 61. Even though you called me out to be old, I am 61. What is equity? Just like you said. Because, see, back in my day, the old lady that I am, I was always the only black. And I think I shared that with you. Always the only black. But it was my duty, being the only black at that table, to make sure that they were being equal. You folks don't tolerate that. You young people now, you don't tolerate that. Unfortunately, the era that I grew up in and came up in, equity was out of place. It was that diversity and inclusion. They made sure they had the token one at the table. So, like I say, I'm not running again because of equity, because I feel the JEDI, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, is a space that is missing a Sheila. And so it's my responsibility to educate young folks like you on how we get there. That's one of the pieces, the gap, is that you young folks have not been educated, because that's how they broke it to me, on how to maneuver in this. You got to move differently. You got to move differently. It's room for everybody at the table. It's a whole nother side over here. So conversations and being engaged with organizations like the NAACP, where you go through training on how to maneuver. This is not brand new. The game has changed. Equity is defined differently. Some of these people think because if they have this committee or this board that now they're good. Who is checking them? Who is verifying their work to make sure that we are moving up the ladder, that you are not sitting as a receptionist for 30 years? Some people feel safe that way. Who is the watchdog? We'll talk afterwards, honey, but like I say, it's a different story. Over and over again, I mean, I could go from my job history from all the way from the top to where I'm at now on city council, county council rather, as the only female, the only black, the only Democrat. So let's talk about equity. The only people that can fix this are the people that's at the table, our allies. They got to look around and say, oh my goodness, Sheila was right. This white privilege has taken me to a whole nother level. There's nobody that looks like her here. There's nobody speaking on her behalf or on their behalf. So it's very intentional what the system has done over and over again. They've excluded us. They put it there that they got a committee, diversity and inclusion, but where is the equity? I'm gonna stop talking right now. Thank you. We'll talk.
Wow. You know, it's an honor and a privilege both to be up here with Sheila and Adrian. I know both of them are outstanding people. I just finished a meeting this morning with two young professionals. You probably know them. Ms. Alley is one of them, and the other young man works at PNC Bank. Not PNC, Chase, J.P. Morgan Chase. They're trying, as Sheila is saying, they're trying to do some things that years ago, Payne Brown and some of us had a group called BENG, B-E-N-G, Black Executive Networking Group. We would meet. We networked. You got to network. As she stated, we don't have a seat at the table. And some of those that have a seat at the table, they're sellouts. I have to be honest with you. I have to tell you the truth. Okay?
I didn't say that. I just want to go on record. I did not say that. That was John George, our senior person here, and Sheila did not say that.
Well, I'm premature gray, so, you know. Anyway, when I came to Fort Wayne, there used to be a store here called Nobson. There was some blacks couldn't get credit there and some other things, but they had on the application, 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed. But at that time, they would know if you applied for credit card or whatever, put an X in a pencil on there, and they knew you were black. Several employers, I used to be on the Metropolitan Human Relations Commission. Several employers, if you went in and applied for skill set job or whatever, if you were black, there was an X and a pencil mark. So when they were looking through the applications, if there was an X on there, you didn't get hired. I came here, I worked for the Internal Revenue in Nashville. I came here with International Harvester. That was a gentleman at International Harvester. I was his boss. But he said he wouldn't work for me because I was black. And they allowed that to happen. When I went to Parkview, this is years ago, VPs put in my evaluation, I was too self-confident. Well, the way I dealt with that, well, obviously you have to cool down, you know. But later I had a meeting with him to explain to him growing up in Alabama and all the struggles I've had and all of that. Years ago, you know. I'm not saying that happened at Parkview today. I'm just saying what happened back then. But there's still a way that you can be kept out of the system, you know. I've had the opportunity, like Sheila had, to sit at the table and honestly have seen that. Our role and responsibility when we get to the table
Yes.
to reach back, pull up people like you and others or whatever that's interested, but also to educate you on.
Educate.
We got to read, guys. I've written 3 books for a reason. In the meeting this morning with the young professional, one of them, my book that's coming out sometime later this month. First Source Bank already bought 60 of the books, and they're not even released yet. The library bought 30 of the books. The exec director's here. She can tell you that. It's 14 rules to help you become all you want to be. The very first one is be on time. Be on time. In meeting with the young professionals this morning, the one that called the meeting,
He was late.
it happened to be a she,
She was
but
late.
she was late.
Amen.
Okay, and I brought that up, and I said that's the number one. So there are things we have to do because people form perception about you.
Right. Truth telling, no matter how much it hurts.
Correct.
We have to tell the truth.
We have to.
We have to tell the truth. I mean, I think a lot of times it's lessons to each other. I learned a lot from Adrian. You know, Adrian is, like you say, he's in your age group because I'm 61, proud to say it. But I can relate to Adrian and the way he moved with the kids. It's a different way that they move. It's a different way of teaching. You know, our thing was reach one, teach one. Now you got to reach them all. You got to grab them all. You see a family of 5 or 6, you need to grab them all. You know, I mean, my base is my church, Pilgrim Baptist Church. And I mean, if you ain't hearing babies crying, your church is dying.
Amen.
So, I mean, this is real. We have to change the way that we do things, the way that we interact with our community. You know, we're not just a church open on Sunday. We have to be able to have resources, be able to be there. Because what is it different about your church than my church, other than you start at 11 and I start at 12? I know you want to get back on track. Go ahead. Thank you.
But anyway, for us to be up here for an hour and a half, you know, when you go eat, you have the appetizer and then the full course comes. This is only a taste.
Yeah.
We can talk to you. I do many entrepreneur workshops. I just finished with 5 young people. I have a book, about 50 pages that you get once you go through the workshop. And for them to go through that 6 weeks, but I'm not the only one. I bring in an accountant. I bring in, you know, different people that they need to know, the insurance person. I'm surprised they want to start a business or they're in business, don't understand that they need these. They need to understand that.
Yeah.
And everyone I bring in, it's Caucasian because there are no minority accounting firms or whatever, you know. And we should. We can.
Yeah,
But
we have to be intentional. We have to
Right.
direct people in the traffic. When I was a kid, I never was able to say, I don't want to go, or I'm too tired to go. We went wherever our parents said this. I know you want to get back on track, but we have got to, we have to recognize people like you and make sure that there is a space for your voice, because what you're talking about is real. Where I'm at right now is trying to educate. I like saying it because that's how my dear say it, educate. We have to educate our allies, the people that's holding us back. You understand what I'm saying? We still ain't got no power. We ain't got no power until they allow us to have power. The power is the fear. They are afraid that you're going to take their job. You understand what I'm saying?
That's true.
They don't understand that we just trying to equal the playing field, showing you that I can do this. I have the knowledge, I have the power to do this. So the fear is where the breakdown is. So that's where our allies, people that don't look like me, because I cannot, if it comes from me, it sounds like I'm saying that they're racist, but I'm trying to make them understand. The reason why you in this position is because of your white privilege. It's because you are white. It don't matter. It's your white privilege has taken you to this level because your father owns or your brother is. You understand? It's been going on for years and years and years. Y'all might not see it, but that's what has happened. And that's why you see this difference, this bias. It's an unconscious bias that they have no idea that they're doing it. They have no idea. It's unconscious. We got to fix that. Thank you. Sorry.
Great, thank you.
I have a quick question. Were you specifically asking, how do I stay set apart from my age group and do the work that I do?
Yeah, basically, and by the way, I am not Caucasian at all, see, but, yeah, basically because, I know like when I would do a lot of
Professional stuff, or like, attend lunches with older mentors, and get the education that we need in order to be civil and professional adults, and not just have order in our life. But it's like when you go home, everybody's sometimes just being realistic, is not going to be walking the same path that you're walking, depending on who your leader is, your mom and dad is, what type of standards they set for you guys. And I just wanted to know, because I've had that problem for a while now, because I'm not quite sure why, some individuals did not allow their kids to grow with each other so that it will be a equal yoke, and it will be equity, and it won't be like a whole, circus activity going on, because it's just kind of weird if, like, say, for instance, if you're in a race and someone is over there not doing anything, and the other person is running a marathon, and then that person wants to come to the Olympic Games afterwards. It's like, how do you think you're going to do afterwards? You're not going to do too well, because what were you doing? You were not doing anything. So, or you wasn't doing enough. So it's just kind of like, I just wanted to know how, because that's the problem I've been having. I've spent a lot of downtime with a lot of individuals that are not interested in anything that I do outside of my social life at all. I try to bring them to something, they say that's lame, or they look at me like, so it's like.
And you're talking about within the community with your friends, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know what? We call it the Ruach HaKodesh, the set apart spirit.
Preach.
Okay. And the spirit does not have the same age as the flesh. So be not dismayed by your age group, and they'll say what they will, and you'll lose a lot of them. Either they're your brother and your sister in the walk, or they are not.
Or not.
And it's okay to be alone.
Different.
And that's
Different.
a lot of times I'm alone.
Always. That's always. I'm a firm believer. You got to teach people how to treat you. So once they, just teach them one time, let them know. You teach people how to treat you. You won't have that battle anymore.
And she just needs to do, I think, get with other young people.
Like-minded.
Have her interests,
Like-minded.
That's what they say told us in our day. Kind of
Yeah.
get folks that's like-minded.
Like-minded.
You know, you got, like you said, other things, they got the social life. And then they're fine. And you
Yeah.
know, you get to have social activities. But there are other things where your interest, where you're passionate.
Yeah.
Then get with those people with that passion.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why it is so important that young people like yourself,
Uh-huh.
I know you call us old, but we are, because all of us are old enough to be your mama, grandmama. So, everybody old enough to be your mama, that's an old person to you.
Yeah.
I was the same way when I was your age, but, the thing is, when you get ready to do those things,
Yeah.
this is why our young people here, they used to tell us back in the day, go to different functions.
Yeah.
That's what my mama
Join
would do.
something.
Go to other stuff.
Yeah, just join something.
Go to other stuff.
Join organization. There's the A. Philip Randolph. If you're about unions, if you're about social issues, NAACP, you've got the Urban League, if you're about jobs and, so join something.
Right.
Belong to something. These organizations have been around 100 years. They have not lasted 100 years for no reason. Thank you.
And I heard one lady say, oh, sorry. Yeah, I heard one person say, just automatically invite yourself to some of these functions going on here in the city. You never know. You have to go there to see. You may find other like-minded people, and it's amazing the things that you go to. You end up mixing and talking with people. That end up leading you to other things that's really where your interest lies. And it end up building on that. So just be engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I just want to say this, I'm like Mr. George. Thank you. What you spoke on by being on time is very important because I see a lot of slack and slothfulness. When I moved here from Michigan, May 17, 1887, I started my first newspaper. It was called the Time News, and you probably heard of it. And it went from the tabloid to broadsheet. And what I did, I sit down. I thank God for my friend right here. He helped me with a lot of that. And I did a lot on myself because I felt I was important. I felt where Paul Hemke at that time wrote me an editorial letter. And I met with Associated Churches. I got because it was a Christian base, okay? I got a list of all the churches here in Fort Wayne and surrounding area. And then I went to the jail, talked to Chaplain Seaver and all that. And so my paper was a free newspaper paid for by advertisers. But I didn't just go to black. I went to white, which was my biggest advertiser, and I went to Chinese. I went to whoever I can, and I was everything, did the typesetting and all that. I was the marketing person. I was receptionist. I distributed paper, all that kind of stuff. But being on time as an African American, you need to shape up because it's a bad thing. We can talk it, but can we walk it?
That's right.
See, so I went in good, and I came out good. I ended up selling to Jesse White, just retired.
Yeah.
And then I went from that to the radio, filming and paying $165 an hour on the radio WLYV, 1450 AM here in Fort Wayne, Illinois Road. I went from that and went to the TV, and now I have an hour on TV. I don't have to pay anything. But I still get the word out there. It's called the Sunday School Hour. I do that. And I have a live broadcast every third Saturday. It's called Children of Light. Give people a chance to call and talk. You know what I mean? Because how would you know what they know unless you communicate? So you have to have an open tape, open mind. And you must write down stuff. You don't just talk it. You got to keep notes and stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
By the way, we're bringing on 2 youth writers, Millen High School. The first article that was done 2 weeks ago was on etiquette and manners. She wrote it, so that's what we want. It's important that we hear what the young people have to say. And again, this spring, we will be having here another essay contest. We had it last year for the first time. Only had 3 to participate, but they get paid. First prize is $100 and second prize, third prize. So my frustration comes with the young men, you know. That's a frustration of mine. But anyway, another story.
All right, so we're going to kind of move in to address what Fort Wayne is facing today. So our next question is, what are some of the challenges you see facing our community currently?
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to make mine short. I know we want to save some time for you guys to ask some questions. I say it probably every month at County Council. The criminal justice system needs to be reformed.
Amen.
The criminal justice system needs to reform the criminal justice system. Why? Because we're not at the table. It took us almost 30 years to get a black judge. So we have one black judge, and I believe they're up for election this year.
Right.
There was no succession plan. Once again, we're back to, there was no succession plan for anyone to come behind Judge Swan. So my thing is that we as a community, constituents like you, allies like yourself, we got to get a game plan. We can't wait another 30 years. So if we're looking around and we see that the criminal justice system needs to be reformed, then we need to let the people know. Probably everybody in this room has someone in the criminal justice system, either paying child support, house arrest, probation, locked up, incarcerated. You know somebody. So how do we fix it? How do we make a pathway for them to be rehabilitated, workforce development, to educate them on how to move? A lot of these people, they get out, they have nowhere to go. Fort Wayne Rescue Mission, they have nowhere to go. They can't go stay with grandma. Grandma is on housing. Can't go stay with the baby mama. She on housing. I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying there's a group of people that we, community, can work with the criminal justice system to help them reform themselves. Talk to some of these judges, make sure that they're doing things to help these people. A lot of people can't get a job because they don't have a driver's license. How easy would it be for a judge to say, hey, okay, we're going to do this pilot program. If you lost your driver's license for ABC, we're going to reinstate your license, we're going to put you in this pilot program, and we're going to give you the tools you need to be, you need to be successful. Little things. I see Marvin's here. Marvin wanted to do the tiny homes, veterans. I'm a member of the American Legion Post 148. I belong to everything, you know. So, you know, things that he want to do, it's a process.
Amen.
It's a process.
Yeah.
You got to find the property. You got to make sure the property is in the right zone. You got to make sure that you got funding. You got to make sure that people want this in their neighborhood. There's so many things that we could do. We need to be shovel ready for all this money that's getting ready to come into Allen County. Once again, I'm the vice chair of the Allen County Democratic Party. I wear a lot of hats. But what is it that we, community, don't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, what we, community, what can we do? What can we do to make sure that we're not missing out on these nickels, dimes, and pennies that's coming into Fort Wayne, into Allen County? A pilot program, tiny homes, homeless veterans. Talk to Marvin. He's got the plan. It's in his head. He needs someone to help him to make it come into fruition. We got property on every county. Every corner, there's an empty lot here, 2 empty lots there. I mean, so we have to make sure that when people have ideals, you know, uplift them. Direct them in the right way. I try to direct folks as much as I can because I can't do it all. It's a lot of heavy lifting out there.
Right.
And in order for us to be equal, or for us to feel equal, what is equity? Somebody identify that to me. What is equity? I know what diversity and inclusion is. It still ain't making me equal. It's still not giving me justice, Jedi, justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, all of that to lift me up. I don't know how to equal the playing field other than just keep talking about it and putting it in people's face and letting people know. And when you're in that room and they doing the craziness, you open up and you say, you're not going to do this on my watch. I'm not going to allow you to do this. I'm not going to sit here silently and allow you to do this. I have to deal with that. I have to deal with that.
We have to develop a bench. Lisa's, Sheila's stepping down, but who look like her going to replace her? We should have 2 or 3 people on the bench that's ready to go. You know, we have to do that.
Yeah.
That's one thing. 2, we have to stop complaining. We make enough money. I drop off some of my papers at gas station. The number of guys that come in every other week spending hundreds of dollars in lottery tickets. Do you realize what you can do with $1? You know? My dad had 6th grade education, mom had an 8th grade. When he died, he left 80 acres, a 5-bedroom house. He said, make money while you're sleeping, okay? That's what it's all about, guys.
Yeah.
There are opportunities out there. We're leaving money on the table. I'm getting ready to start articles now in InkSpot about financial wellness, generational. You know, what are we passing on in terms of dollars to our kids and grandkids, okay? We got to set that up. We got to do it and stop going around with your hand out asking and begging for things, okay? We're making the money in a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
But we're spending it.
Over there.
Yeah. And you know what? I got my hand out to take your money too because I'm invested. How many of us understand? I brought someone in from the stock market to talk to my group when I was doing my last entrepreneur class, and they ate it up. And one young man jumped on it, and he's doing well. It's so easy. It really is. But we're missing the boat. Don't complain about something. Get out and do something.
Yeah, just find your space. I mean, we all can't do it all. I think we all try to do it all, you know, and so it's just finding whatever it is that you're passionate about, you know. I mean, a lot of times I think that's one of the things. We really don't know what it is that we want to do, so be intentional. If you want to make sure that your board or your executive director or people at that higher level is diverse, then you say to them. I mean, I actually was in a meeting and a guy's talking to me about all this diversity, and he's got this big company, this law. It's like, how many blacks you work for you? None. You don't have no blacks? None, not one. But you talking to me? You can't talk to me about that. Go get some black people and then come back and we can have a conversation. Don't talk to me about no diversity when you're not even trying to be intentional. We got to be intentional. People sitting in these rooms have got to be intentional. They got to. That's the only way it's going to change. Thank you.
When I bought my building on Calhoun, I wanted to sign and say Minority Entrepreneur Center. Okay? I went to the company that was going to design it. He was Caucasian. He said, you sure you want to say Minority Entrepreneur Center? I said, you sure you want to get paid? Guess what? The sign, drive down Calhoun, you'll see it. Minority Entrepreneur Center. And everyone in there is a minority. 3 of the people of the 9 have records where they were incarcerated, but they're doing an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Our goal should be not to hold somebody down.
Right.
Give them a hand and lift them up.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to say black. You know, BLACK. Because if you start talking, Lord, just forgive me and let the words of my mouth be nothing but that of good. When you start allowing people to tell you we are diverse, and you ask them how many BLACK, how many black people you have employed here, if they tell you 0, they are not diverse. I don't care if they got a woman. I don't care if they have Latino. I don't care if they have a Burmese. If they don't have no BLACK, they are not diverse. Thank you. Was that good? I don't think I said anything to him.
That was great. So moving forward, what is your vision? She's grabbing the mic for you so our viewers can see.
My name is Dr. Mary Bell Johnson, and my area is like psychology and higher education. And as far as my name is Dr. Mary Bell Johnson, and my area is psychology and higher education. And as far as what I've seen in Fort Wayne lately, I feel that there's a real need for reformation. She was talking about reformation in some areas as far as mental health, especially. I think there's a real need for reformation as far as mental health in our community, as well as higher education in our community. And I'm really concerned about the lack of diversity in those areas and how that affects our families and our children. I can remember being at a particular place and working there, and the president had put out a mandate that there would be an increase in professors and instructors as far as them teaching various classes. And there was a person in management who was going directly against that. And when I talked to them about it, I said, the president just put out a mandate. You're supposed to be increasing representation here. And they were firing individuals who were gold star instructors. And the person looked at me 3 times and said, we're not doing that. I said, well, yes, you are. I'm looking at you do it. And the person was saying, I'm not doing that. I said, you are too. And it was really, what really made me, I felt sort of angry, was that when I went to the diversity representative there, that person felt so intimidated. They would not address it in personnel. They would not go to personnel and address what was happening. So in Fort Wayne, Indiana, to date, I am very, very concerned about what's happening in mental health as far as our representation in all aspects across this community. Because if blacks are not there, it's going to affect our children, and it is affecting our children.
It is.
But let me answer that a little bit.
Yeah.
I could not agree with you more.
Right.
You're 100% right. I dealt with a situation during the holidays with a client of mine, which a young man was having a meltdown, or whatever you want to call it. I called the therapists at the group I normally use, and they were out because of the holiday. I have a daughter in Nashville, Tennessee, who's a mental health therapist. I called her and put her on the phone with him, spent 45 minutes with him in long distance in the conference room. You know, you're so right. We got to know where the resources are. One, we do need it.
Yes.
Dr. McGee's sister was here, Dr. Dolores Langley, but she passed away. You know, I used to use her a lot a few years ago. But I cannot agree with you more. Now, I do have 2 that's in my building, but one of them has a contract with the state in which she deals with foster kids and all of that. But they both are busy, and they know it. But that's an issue that we have. I could not agree with you more.
Right.
We, again, need to go to school, get the education, and do all of that. I strongly agree.
Yeah. Mental illness is real. And how do we capture those numbers? Do we need to go to someone like Visit Fort Wayne or Greater Fort Wayne and ask them to do a survey? Do we need to be intentional on telling them what we would like for this survey to look like? Do we need to reach out to one of our colleges, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and ask them to do a study for us? We need to be intentional. I would love to talk to you after this. Mental illness is real. Thank you.
You gotta, yep. Hang on one second. We're gonna bring you the mic because if we're not mic'd, the people on the live stream can't hear and participate.
I want to echo what all those, what everybody said, because that's the bigger project I want to work on, not just for veterans, but for homeless and lower income, is have like a big community, gated community just like Cherry Hill, but you got all these wraparound services in there, because a lot of them do suffer from mental illness and they end up in jail. A lot of, you know, they don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
Okay, so it's a bigger picture of, you know, they don't, okay, in these community centers, you have different ones, one for classroom training, maybe for what she does, and I can help. I'm a master's in business administration, teach them how to interview, okay? Why you want to come work here? Someone may say, because you pay $20 an hour. We know that that's not the answer you're supposed to say, but they may not know those things, okay? So there's different buckets, you know what I'm saying?
Life skills. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And so the way you got to fix this, okay, a lot of them don't have cars, right? So if you make a big old, like, gated campus, a lot of them could work up in there, you know what I mean, where they could walk, okay? And really got to have a focus group and ask them, what is it that you guys need, versus they just, you know what I mean? When I say tiny homes, I'm not just looking at veterans now. I'm looking at individual space, like Reverend Faith Fowler doing in Detroit, where they can help build their credit. And she's got them working within her community.
Right.
And so, you know, like one could be, you know, a lot of them don't have internet service. One could have like a cafe in there. You could have like a barber shop. Like I talked to this barber down here. I said, you know, we need a barber shop like 24/7 because some people work nights. And, you know, like I went there at 8 o'clock yesterday and drove around and couldn't find a barber shop until I got done meeting, you know. I said, that's a big opportunity. You can have a beauty shop next to it. You know what I mean? It's open all the time. And
Building codes,
Yes.
codes, all of that's policy and
yes,
procedure.
they can fix those.
Those are
Yes.
a lot of the things that Marvin talks about.
Yeah.
You gotta have a plan.
Right.
You gotta strategize. You gotta brainstorm. He's got it all over there, but he needs a whole bunch of other arms. Because number one, you gotta know if the neighborhood is coded for that.
Right.
Number two, you need to know if you're able to build multifamily homes in this space. There's a lot of moving parts. What Marvin needs to do is to get a coalition, a group of like-minded people that want to see this succeed.
Yes.
So a lot of times you just got to keep saying it over and over and over and over and over and over again till someone bites, till someone say, oh, I want to be a part of that. I think I can help him. I think I can do this for him. So, you know, Marvin, just keep telling your story. I know that's not why we're here today, but just keep telling your story to whoever will listen, and someone will bite. Someone will bite. Thank you.
Let me say one more thing, because a lot of people don't know this. In zip code 46803, where I grew up at,
Hallelujah.
it's the poorest zip code in the state.
Most underserved.
Over 51% of the folks live below poverty. Right.
Highest
there is
infant mortality.
Right there is the opportunity. Okay.
Yes, sir.
To me, good kids can come out of 46803. I came out of it. Okay.
I did too, born and raised.
Okay. And so, just another thing I put up on these big billboards, put some faces that they can relate to. You know what I mean? Not all of them are going to be able to play basketball.
Somebody help Marvin. He got some great ideas. He's got some great ideas.
I already put there, I said, this is a big project. We're going to need
Yes, sir.
thousands of people, not just, like you said, building code. Like, who's in charge of that?
It's a process.
The city leadership runs this city. They can do anything they want to. If they
That is not true,
Or
Marvin.
not true, or
That's
state
not true.
Or however far it goes up. I don't know.
I'm going to speak on behalf of my elected officials.
Okay.
That is not true.
Who-
It's a process. Everything is a process. Get your like-minded people, get your plan, get it on paper.
Right.
I'll hook you up with some. I can't do it. You get what I'm saying? My hands are tied. I'm doing enough.
Right.
You know, the environment is my space right now in my church. But what you have is a great idea. And like I say, I don't want to take away from what we're here for today. Thank you.
So I'm going to keep this moving because we only have a few minutes left. And I
Discussion that we had with racial equity is us against one another, okay? Black on black, okay? Because when I started here, I went out like my mind. But until we stop, when we started promoting one another and stop being envy of one another because of their success, you see what I'm saying? Find out what made them get there. The reason why I'm saying that, because when I was 15 years old in Mississippi, okay, I was picking cotton, chopping cotton, and I told the white man, I'm tired of this because this is slavery. You understand? So when I became 16, I said, I don't want to pick up anything heavier than a pencil, all right? And guess what? God made that happen, okay?
Amen.
So it's all about what you want to do in life.
Thank you. So our next question is, what is your vision for what an equitable community would look like?
Adrian, that's you, babe.
Yes, ma'am. Well, everything is about order. There's only one problem. Everything else is a microcosm of the one problem. Things are out of order. When things are out of order, there is not a flow or an ease of flow of the vital energy or the life force that we need. Therefore, you have a dis-ease, you see? And so when we're dealing with the future and how we move forward, it's an age-old problem. It's ancient. When you get into the concepts of Atlantis, or the concepts of Babylon, or the concepts of any of those ancient problems that they had with the Israelites. Thank you. Okay? It's always been about order. It's always been about order. It's all about understanding who you are. Life is about a knowledge of self.
Yeah.
It's the bottom line. We are not called black people. We are not called African Americans. We are tribes and nations. And all the people that are melanated that we're calling black are not the same tribe or nation. So a lot of the points we're making are really moot. Because when you look in the biblical times, you look into the scriptures, they were all melanated people.
Amen.
It was all fighting amongst melanated people. The Caucasian is not included in that. They truly are not. And we must understand this. The Caucasian didn't get to the Americas truly into the late 1700s and the late 1800s. That means who was over here when Christopher Columbus came? According to the 1751 Observation of Mankind by Benjamin Franklin, he states that the French are black, the English are black, the Germans are black. They were all black. This was what you call a more-on-more war. You see? This is a more-on-more war from the beginning. And we're still in a more-on-more war. You see, the Caucasian, or what they call the Albion, has been given the tools and resources.
Say it.
But they are not the root of the problem by any means whatsoever. This is the truth. So what we are up against is who is who, whose land is whose, whose resources are whose. This is the reality. Who is the nervous system? Because without it, the rest of the body cannot be in order. That's the fight. There's only one problem. Who's the rootstock? So the whole tree can stand. People are doing great work in the community.
Yes.
We call it good muscle. But what's muscle without the nervous system? What's the heart without the nervous system? You see, so once again, we build a body. We find out who we are, and we stop saying white, and we stop saying black. And you find out who you really are, and what your blood is designed to do, designed to produce. Because an apple tree and its genetics make apples. And an orange tree and its genetic make oranges. Even though you may think the orange tree looks like the apple tree, they are not the same. Be not dismayed by the color of one's skin or the texture of one's hair. Understand different people have different functions. And when we build a body, everyone has the same purpose.
Right.
When we build a body, we determine who has what function and how does it go together. It's a puzzle. And so what is the fight really about? Who's the rootstock? Thank you.
Yeah. We've, I'm sorry, I'm going to make it real short, but the future is in this room. The future is at this table. You know, a lot of the conversations that we're having, like I say, things don't happen as fast as we think. A lot of projects take anywhere from 10 to 20 years to, from the time you think about it until it becomes reality. And so we need to be thinking about that. What is it that you want to see or Adrian want to see? 20 years from now, I might not be here. And so this planet, we have no plan B. We know that the environment, the water, the air that we breathe, we're leaving this mess to you young folks. And so you've got to get to the table to have a voice, to make sure that the decisions that are being made in reference to our environment, that you're there. Because if we don't have clean air and water, then we don't have to worry about the criminal justice system. You feel me? So we've got to be intentional about what we care about. What we care about. Because if we don't care, if we're not going to be good stewards, criminal justice system don't even matter. Thank you, Mama. You got a question?
Yes, I'm sorry. There's been a lot on my mind, and just like I just got out of college and been experiencing,
Give us just a sec. We're going to grab the mic because we want the people at home to be able to hear too.
I've been experiencing the work world and how COVID has affected our economic status and everything. And what I would like to see, what I've noticed in the work world, because of, you know, the dis-ease, the discomfort that has entered our climate, you know, the standards for a lot of jobs has dropped. You know, the pay has went up, but the standards have dropped. You know, they may have, it looks as though we probably, you know, are entering into a third world climate. And I actually looked that up because, you know, as a worker, I'm just kind of like, what is going on? You know, when I looked up third world, it said improper sanitation, not having proper education, basically, you know, out of order. You know, a lot of people may like that. A lot of people, they labeled that as thug life. But, you know, I don't think that that is, personally, and I think a lot of people would agree, I don't think that that's very good for the world. I'm all about equality. I recognize myself as an African because of the people that I was raised with. I may not be all African. A lot of my family members, you're not African, but you know, but that's what I recognize myself as. Or if I'm not African, African American. And having that as my background, I'm totally against having to go through what I've already been through. I'm more about cutting those roots off, those damaging roots, having to see people, you know, that are still living in these fourth world. They're not even third world. They're fourth worlds. Haiti, people in Haiti.
Say it.
I am not happy at all entering to a workplace and having the education that I have and knowing what I know and seeing individuals have to go through third world stuff, and this is not a third world country.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say what I wanted to see more is order. A lot of people, they say they want equality, but like you said, there is a process. And you have to work yourself to a certain way.
Yes.
You cannot just think that you are going to just be able to cry and complain and overnight just become, you know, the coach of something.
Yes.
I look at everything as athletics because it's like if you are not performing or practicing, like as myself, if you was not running and you playing around, you're not going to be that VIP runner. So it's like, don't even try, because when it comes to competition, your performance shows everything. And I feel as though, you know, with economy, we should be helping the economy. There should be no reason anybody should have any complaints in hospitality about how their food tastes. There should be no reason nobody is speaking on
Humble, yes.
things that are not done, and there should be an unspoken community in this community, because this is not a third world city. This is actually a Republican city. I'm also from Chicago, so I can also speak about that, because everything in Chicago is extremely expensive, and people have no choice but to live off the government. This is we pay at minimum $300 in rent. That is like not heard of in big cities.
Right.
So it's just, what I wanted to see is order, because a lot of people, they get their mindsets from being in their little worlds that they have, and it's not really, very professional mindsets, and it may not be very godly mindsets, because the fact that they think that they
just
are
life skills, just life skills. And I agree. We're going to talk afterwards. I know you want to get back on track, but it's just the simple things of life skills.
Back to the
Simple.
question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. That's all.
You're familiar with Rosa Parks, right? And what she did? Dr. King, what he said, we're not going to be judged by the color of our skin, our sex, and all of this.
Yeah.
You familiar with what recently happened with the John Lewis Voting Rights Act?
Yes.
And we did not, your Congress people, and none of them stood together. If you go back and you do a boycott, you affect the dollars as a group, things will change. We're not doing that. That's what has to happen, folks. They should have done it in D.C. and spread it throughout the country, and I guarantee you, John Lewis Voting Act would have passed. We're not together. We got to get together. Simple as that.
I wore my vote pin. I'm sure everyone in the room is registered to vote, but if you're not, go to indianavoters.gov. Thank you.
So I'm going to pose one more question to you guys, and then we're going to see if anyone on the live stream has any questions for us. So this was actually, it's two questions that were submitted to us when people registered for the event. They're somewhat similar questions, so I'm going to read them both, and we can go from there. So the first question was, how can non-BIPOC participate or support initiatives for our BIPOC neighbors and community in Fort Wayne? And the second question was, what's the best way for someone who is white to address racial inequity?
First, I want you to tell people what BIPOC is.
Me personally, what the abbreviation is? Black, Indigenous People of color?
There you go, magic. BIPOC is a term that you'll probably be hearing a lot of. And so we sit on the land of the Miami Indians. This is land that was stolen, and they moved people. A lot of you might have heard of the Trail of Tears, Trail of Death. That's where they basically pushed all of the Indians out of Indiana, sent them over to Kansas. And so it took them a while to get there, and there's a trail of people that died along that route. And so whenever you get a chance, you might want to read that book, like I say, Trail of Tears, Trail of Death, depending on who you get that information from. And so my thing is, I am here for my BIPOC community. I am here to represent them. I am here to let them know that I will always advocate for them. We have to be intentional. We have to make sure that people understand and see us and know that our voice is just as important as theirs. We might not get what we want, but to be able to vocalize that and share our stories and not be afraid. People are afraid. And so when you speak of fear, in my world, fear is a sin. So I have no fear. So in my world, everybody world ain't the same. My mother told me you can't play with everybody, and everybody don't think like you, and everybody ain't gonna like you. But if you stand on what you believe and know that what you are doing is right and continue to do the work and let your light shine, don't worry about the rest. Don't worry about the rest. Because like I say, if we don't have an environment, all of this is nothing. And so I'm here to advocate for my BIPOC community, my black people, Wakanda forever. Thank you.
what I would say to Caucasians, Albions that want to help, you need to seek the truth. That's what we're struggling with in this very conversation. And then we're struggling pretty bad because, once again, we are tribes and nations across this earth. And they are all melanated. The Albion comes from one location. So they may say they are French, they may say they are German, they may say they are Greek, but they are not. This is really important to comprehend.
Yeah.
So to help is to understand which indigenous people is which. And if you see us all as black, you are confused and you are confusing yourself. So you may think you're helping, but you may be hurting.
Yeah.
Because all of us do not stand and fight for the same exact cause. And we do not all have the same comprehension and understanding of what that cause may be.
Nope.
It's very critical that you seek an education. And I'm biased, of course. I'm biased. I'm steeped in history.
Yeah.
Steeped. I studied at the feet of Anthony Browder, who wrote the book Contributions to Nile Valley Civilization Goes to Egypt Every Year. I sat at the feet of Dr. Malana Karenga, who invented Kwanzaa. I sat at the feet of Ashua Kwesi. I grew up at the Weiser Park Youth Center, which was steeped in learning about all the movements in the culture of the United States of America. And so I'm saying that to say, what is taught in school is one thing. What is taught within quote-unquote black programs is one thing. And then there's information that is banned.
Right.
That is not accessible to but so many people. So you have to find out who has access to information.
Yes.
You see, as a researcher, I have a publication in International Journal of Spine Surgery. I did research at the Morehouse School of Medicine working with mice and rats. I did research at Tufts University on colorblind attitudes. I did research in so many different places. So some people do research, but some people are researchers.
Yes.
And that is different. So I'm not speaking from a place of ignorance. I am telling you clear as day that if you would like to help, find out who is who.
Right.
Don't just say, I help black people. I have a black friend.
No.
Don't do that. Be honest. And say, who are they really? Do they know who they are?
Right.
Just because someone is passionate does not mean they understand. This is very important.
Very.
You can go protest and believe that Black Lives Matter, but black means you're an enemy of the state. And the Moors created that law, and those are black people. So, with that being said, if you'd like to help seek an education, find those who truly understand the information.
Thank you for that. I want to throw this back to Ms. Donna now to see if we have any questions on our live stream that have come through. Okay. Are there any other questions in the room? Yes.
I just wanted to say that I basically believe in rights for all, and I support humanity as a whole, but I'm specifically concerned about Fort Wayne and what's happening with Africa. I'm specifically concerned about Fort Wayne and what's happening as far as African American women are concerned. I have lived through the civil rights movement, and I believe that African American women were very supportive of black men, so to speak, as far as that was concerned. I've lived through the feminist movement, and I believe that black women were very supportive of, for the most part, what happened with Caucasian women. But as far as what's happening with African American women, a lot of times I wonder, well, where's the support from all these different groups when it comes to African American women and what's happening as far as African American women rising in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I've watched what happened all over the world recently as far as African American women, and I saw them go way up. The head of the United Nations right now is an African-American woman. And I'm wondering, why doesn't that happen in Fort Wayne? What keeps African-American women down as opposed to having them rise to some of the higher positions here? So that's the question
I want
pose
to,
all of you.
I'm going to drop a name. I'm going to drop some names. Sheila Curry Campbell, Sharon Tucker, Michelle Chambers, Danita Washington, Pat Turner. So we've got a lot of women of color, and those were just some of our elected officials. So they didn't get there because they was appointed. They got there because they were elected. So we have some women serving in that capacity. Once again, I can only call out the space that I'm in as an elected official. When you start talking about corporate world, that's where, once again, you got to build these relationships with these allies. They got the power. So if we know that we have someone that is qualified, what we did as a community, we created a list of people to give to the mayor, because the mayor told us he couldn't find nobody to fill these leadership positions. I'm keeping it real. I'm a Democrat. The mayor's a Democrat. I'm keeping it real. So when you talk about that,
What did you say? He said he could not find qualified.
we created a list. I don't know if your name on it, but I'll be more than willing to add your name to that, because we have got to make sure when people say stuff like that, that you got some receipts to prove you wrong. I got some people. Here's a list of them. Here they are. So if people keep saying that it's dark outside, it's dark outside, it's dark out, you believe it's dark outside. So we, community, we have to shine the light on those type of things. Those little things. The truth matters. Even if it hurts, the truth matters. Don't sit in no room and allow nobody to say something that you know that is not true. I'm not going to do it. And like I said, I'm a firm believer. You teach people how to treat you. They already know when I come in a room, Sheila going to start a fire. They already know. The angry black woman, they already know. Thank you. I'm done.
Did you have a question? This will be our last question for today.
You're right there.
I'm sorry. You know, sometimes I get turned up, and the reason why I get turned up is because I'm passionate. I'm passionate about what I believe. I don't care what nobody say, but I'm going to tell you what I believe. If I know that there are black women in leadership, I'm going to go call out their name. I'm not going to let you leave out of here thinking that we do not have no black women in leadership. Little things like that, I am not the one. We have got to speak up and say what you know. I'm sorry. Thank you.
As a part of ACPL's diversity, equity, and inclusion team here, I understand the diversity and the inclusion part, but as Ms. Curry Campbell spoke on the equity part, what can I take back to the team as far as creating the equity within these four walls?
I would take charge of that, and I would tell them, you give them the interpretation. You tell them what equity would look like in your space, because it don't look the same everywhere. But in your space, equity might be that we got a black receptionist, that we have black contractors, that we have a black, 20% of our board is black. You understand? You tell them what equity look like to you, because they'll tell you, we have diversity, we have inclusion, we have people. You tell them what it looks like, because equity looks different to everybody. And don't allow them to tell you that they got something that they don't. If they ain't got no blacks in leadership, they ain't equitable. You understand what I'm saying? They're not being equal. If they're not putting things in place for you to excel, giving you the tools you need to be successful, paying for your school, you understand what I'm saying? If they're not doing those type of things to make you come up to where they are, then you tell them, in order for you to be equitable, I think you need to do A, B, C, D. You tell them what equity looks like. Thank you.
And also, in the most recent paper just came out, Ink Spot, we have a 4-page blackout. They have people that have their own businesses and a lot of things they're doing. And what we're trying to, actually on the front cover, one key at a time. This young man is young, has his own business, you know. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So also have folks know that we're standing on the shoulders of this Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver. I was with a person last week who's a friend, Caucasian, and I thought he knew. He didn't even know who Booker T. and George Washington.
No.
He didn't know that. So we have to also educate and inform. We have a role and responsibility.
Yeah. And our allies, sometimes they just have to step back and allow us to lead. That's one of the problems. I get really irritated when you're gonna have someone talk to me about black issues that ain't black.
Right. Right. Right.
How you gonna talk to me about black issues? That's where sometimes the people that are in charge, because they are accustomed to this unconscious bias, this white privilege, they have no idea. But they feel as if, because they white, they the smartest person in the room, and they gonna conduct this meeting, and they gonna tell you what to do. I don't play by those rules. I don't play by those rules. And so sometimes our allies have got to step back. Let the black person lead. Give them that opportunity. But don't continue to try to dictate to us that, oh, yes, Master Mo, we're going to do it this way. Oh, no, we're not. We got a different way of thinking, and we have someone that can fill those shoes and conduct this meeting. I was in a meeting. I'm going to say this and I'm going to stop. There was a black lady that was conducting the meeting. The whole room full of white people. Sheila, the only black, once again, because I'm telling you, this is my life story. I'm always the only black, always. The facilitator was black. Got a condescending white man over here trying to tell her how to run the meeting. Well, you know, you might know that. He said about 3 times. The 4th time he did it, I told him, you done crossed the line now. I'm not going to sit here and allow you to disrespect this woman. I don't know her, never met her before in my life. But I was not going to sit there and allow him with all of these little remarks about HR and what she don't know. Like man, I done worked in HR for 7 years. Don't talk about what I don't know. Don't allow people to do that stuff. That's one of the ways. Equity. I'm a firm believer. Teach him how to treat you. He ain't gonna do that bullshit. No, excuse me. He ain't gonna do that no more. Pray, church. He's not gonna do that no more. He will never, ever do that again and think that I'm gonna sit in a room and allow him to disrespect not only a black woman, but a woman. We gotta speak up. Don't allow this craziness. Don't allow it.
You know, I just want to add to that. It is amazing when some people, just last night, I was watching PBS. I have a tendency to be kind of loud, you know, so I don't know if I need a mic. But just last night, I was watching PBS, and the young lady was on, maybe, I don't know, 30. And she said, you know, I'm from, I think she said somewhere in Oregon, Idaho, somewhere like that. She said, so I taught, you know, she said, I learned from my teachers. She said, and I trusted them to teach me whatever. She said, and that was that. And you know, she just went on. And she said, and I got to college. And someone said something about Rosa Parks. She said, I had no idea. You know, she said, and they said, they called the police on her because she wouldn't move the seat, you know, give up her seat. And she said, I thought to myself, she stole a seat? Well, of course you would call the police if you stole a seat. She didn't even get that you know, she said, give up her seat. She says, I did not know. She said, I had never heard this story that the woman just didn't get up.
Yeah.
And she said, she didn't realize just how green she was. That's what she was really saying.
Right.
She said, I really thought they called it because the woman stole a seat. She said, I didn't know that give up the seat meant that she just didn't get up. And she said she ended up learning more in the school and learning stuff she said I had never heard of ever. So it's like you said, we have to teach people. And when you say allies, you know, to me, I guess it's what allies to me is someone on your side who know what you know, or know what you know, or better, or whatever. Sometimes I'm thinking they're like you shouldn't have to teach your allies, but I'm finding out. Sometimes
Lena, you
have
done
to
been
teach.
in plenty of meetings where
Plenty of meetings.
you got white people that called all you black people to come and be at this meeting, and now they're gonna tell you what you gonna do.
They're going to tell you what you know. It is really amazing. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
It's like what the young woman said. I said, dear God. And here, like I said, she was at least 30. But I'm just saying, sometimes we have to teach people what you think. Like you said, the man had no idea. And this is what I'm saying, people, we have to. And then they want to get these books off the shelves and all that. That's where, that just chafes my hide. What the hell? You want to take these books even out of the library even and try to pass this law. I talked to the library and I said, look, you librarian people, you all need to get together here. You can't let them fools down
Everybody need a Lena on your team.
Hey,
If you
don't
need an
tell these
advocate,
people to
Lena.
take these darn books off the
right.
shelf. They want to dictate the school. Don't let them take them out of the library. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
cannot have the book people out of the freaking library, all right? All right, come on now. We're going to have our people, all of us, we're going to have to get together on that. But anyway, I'm just saying sometimes we really have to help folks and just, keep going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lena. We love you.
Love you too. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you all for coming today for a robust discussion. Clearly, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more discussion to take place. But as we leave today, we do always like to ask our speakers, are there any actionable items that people can come to your organization and do to get involved and cause change?
Definitely, please join your local NAACP, NAACP.org. You could go to the national website. Membership is only $30. Larry Giss is our president. I serve as the treasurer. Membership is the lifeblood of any organization. Thank you.
I strongly support that. NAACP also have an office in my building. But if you don't subscribe to Fort Wayne Ink Spot, it's only $50 a year. If you have a hard time coming up with $50, let me know. I make sure you get script mailed to your house every other week. So we're trying to do some things. We're trying to make some changes. So please do that. I don't take any money from the paper. I pay the writers and there, but I've never taken a salary from the paper. Be 4 years in June. I'm that committed and dedicated to it.
Adrian, anything for you as we close out?
Thank you. Well, I am the director of the Art Leadership Center, so I train students from ages 4 to 18, systematically develop those leaders, and you can reach me at theartleadershipcenter.org or the Art Leadership Center on Facebook. I also am in charge of Juneteenth, and so if you'd like to have a hand in Juneteenth whatsoever, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me at juneteenthcollaborative13@gmail.com, and obviously there's lots you can do with Juneteenth, so thank you.
Thank you so much. That does conclude our program for today.
And thank you, YWCA.
Yeah, thank you, YWCA.